Earlier I showed how to install resize-as-a-service on my Mac top here. Now I'm going to show how to install it on my VPS. Let's see. Clickety click. Okay, so scroll down a little bit to where the example is. And I'm actually going to change from the branch master to the branch production, which is perhaps poorly named. This branch has some enhancements in it that if you were doing a lot of images would be useful. However, it's important to note that it's a little bit more complicated of an install. So you could do this exactly the same way I did it before, but we're not going to. So this is, I'm logging in, and I have the other video where I show how to create the VPS in the first place. And I'll either insert that or link to it. So I'm in the VPS. I'm going to go ahead, and this is a new VPS, so I'm going to have it install Node and all the required development tools, and that's going to take a minute. Okay, so now this brand spanking new VPS has been initialized with development tools and Node. I'm going to change the README here. This part I believe should actually come first. So I'm going to install Graphics Magic and Image Magic. So this time I'm doing the Ubuntu way. And yes, wow, that's a lot of things. All things considered, that was fairly quick. Okay, and now this is going to take a little bit of time. libvips is faster than the GM module that I was using in the other branch. The production module, or production branch, uses vips. I decided not to merge it into master because there are just so many dependencies, and especially on a MacBook, the compile from source takes, I don't know, 10, 15, maybe even 20 minutes. I think I walked away from it because it was taking so long. However, the libvips module for Node, it's called Sharp, is supposedly something like between 4 and 12 times faster than the GM module. So if the compile time's worth it for you, then it's worth it. Alright, that took a few minutes, but now that's done compiling, so we can go on with the next step here, which is to clone this example repository. And then we're going to push D inside of it. And do git checkout production. That's the branch that uses vips. And npm install. That should go relatively quickly. Now that that's done, the last thing is to start the server. Now this server has been modified slightly from the one in the previous video, and that it will automatically determine what your IP address is, whether you're running on a server with an external IP address or whether you're running behind a home router like on your laptop. So with that example running, I can just click on this link and ta-da! It's a picture of Charlie, my bunny. Or if I click on this other one, it's the resized picture. So, in case you didn't see the other video, these parameters are pretty self-explanatory. Width 200, height 200, format. We can change this to be JPEG or PNG. Whoops. If I allow the width to be greater, the image becomes greater. So the image is bound to whichever is the smallest that it needs to take, be that the width or the height. State parameter is just for caching, so if I knew that the remote image had changed and I wanted to link in some places with the original image I'd been linking, I would use this state equals 1. And if I wanted to get the new image, force it to re-download, I could do state equals 3 or state equals 2 or whatever. It could be any string. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to go in any order, although that makes sense logically. And then we could make it some terrible quality. Ugh, disgusting. I wonder how low we can get this. How terrible can it be? Oh, there we go. That's beautiful. Yeah. So it looks like anything below 15%, the image isn't even recognizable. It's interesting. Okay, and then of course the URL at the end is the picture that we're caching and resizing. And let's see, is there anything else? I mean, I don't want to go through the whole explanation again, so you should just take a look at the other video if you want to see the rundown. But this ifcheck module that I created is kind of cool. Looks at all the network interfaces, checks to see if any of the interfaces are the same as the one you provide, and then this right here goes to a check IP service, which just returns the text IP address. So it passes in that text IP address, it checks it against all the interfaces. If it matches, then it returns that IP address. If it doesn't, then it returns false. And then here, I mean, it looks complicated. It's just the strings that are being printed out for the link. It's going to either show you localhost or local.foobar3000.com if it thinks you're running on a laptop behind a home firewall, or it'll give you the real IP address if it's obvious that it can get to it. But that's not anything particular to the service. That's just for funsies. And then here, I give a better explanation in the other video, but config goes right here. We're requiring the resizer right here. You can use Connect, Express, or any of the Connect or Express based frameworks. And then where you have your .use, you just pass in the application that you're creating with a mount point if you want, or not if you don't want it. But you do need to specify something as the API route, because the resize-as-a-service needs an internal namespace, and it's going to use that API route as part of that internal namespace. And that's all. Alrighty. Good day to you. If this was useful for you, please go ahead and give that little thumbs up button a nice click. Also, you'll see the notes are in the comments section down below. You can either at the end of the article or right up at the top. Give it a like, tweet, +1, whatever. Thanks.